My actress wife never lets any man other than me touch her, not even in a photo. When taking pictures with male celebrities, she always keeps at least a fist's distance between them. Until my birthday this year, when her new co-star posted a status update, Elizabeth allowed Matthew to wrap his arms around her waist from behind. After 8 years of being a fan, I finally get to be her co-star. Go Matthew, keep chasing the light in your heart. I left a comment with just one question mark. Is she your wife or something? What gives you the right to hold her? Elizabeth called me just a little boy who got too excited about achieving his dream. You're really overthinking this. Be good, hubby. Delete the comment. The internet came after me too, saying I was overreacting. Matthew quickly posted another update. There will always be misunderstandings on the road to chasing dreams. But the light I follow taught me not to be discouraged. Watching the whole internet applaud him, I made a phone call. The next day, Matthew was replaced as the male lead. Chapter 1. You have any idea how important this role was to Matthew? He spent 2 whole years preparing just to get this audition. And now, just because of a baseless accusation from you, all his hard work went up in smoke. This was the first time Elizabeth had ever argued with me, and it was over some rookie in the entertainment industry. I gave a cold chuckle. The resources are in my hands. I can remove whoever I want. If I have that kind of power, why wouldn't I use it? The commercial potential of this drama was huge. The director had invited Elizabeth, an award-winning actress, to play the lead, and brought me in as the investor. At the very least, in this project, I had the final say over who stayed and who didn't. So why should I give up my advantage and compete on equal terms with a boy who had just entered the industry and who had the nerve to post a photo of himself hugging my wife? The internet didn't know, but that boy I'd sponsored and helped grow up. He knew damn well who my wife really was. Elizabeth, remember this. I stood up and held her face in my hands. I'm your husband. Even if this is a business marriage, it doesn't mean you can disrespect me. Besides, it wasn't like there was no love between us. I told you, there's really nothing between us. Elizabeth pushed me away. We play a couple in the show. Can't I even act with him? Can you stop assuming the worst of people? Nothing at all. I pulled out my phone and showed her the comments from the netizens. Under Matthew's post, fans were going wild. OMG, that scene wasn't even in the script. Both of Matthew's hands are on Elizabeth's waist. If this isn't real, what is? This is killing me. It's too sweet. Everyone knows our queen never stands this close to male actors in photos. There were even rumors she was secretly married. Thank God we didn't believe them. Elizabeth frowned. Fans don't know the truth. You can't take their comments seriously. But you do, don't you? You, Elizabeth, the queen of the industry, you know exactly what kind of reaction this post would get. Elizabeth froze. I sneered. See, you knew how people would interpret it. You knew I'm the kind of man who's very territorial, but you still let it all happen. Joel, it's just a small thing. Are you really throwing a tantrum over this? Crash. The vase shattered on the floor. Elizabeth looked at me in surprise. I said, who are you to decide what's small to me? We'd been married for 5 years, always polite and respectful with each other. At first, we saw each other as business partners. But after years of shared moments and passion, feelings had grown. She had only ever been physically intimate with me. This was the first time we fought, the first time I'd ever raised my hand to her, and it was all over a boy I once funded. You need to calm down. Elizabeth grabbed her bag and walked out the door. In the living room, my birthday cake remained unopened. Chapter 2. The next day, a new trending topic exploded online. Elizabeth had walked off the set. Netizens were losing it. I'm dying. That rich backstage guy who tried to get Matthew kicked out, turns out all he has is a pile of stinking money. Thought he could strong-arm his way through the industry. But our dear actress queen just threw down her script and quit. What a spectacular self-embarrassment. Ha ha ha. Seeing how anxious she was, does that mean our actress queen and Matthew are actually a thing? Do you even need to ask? Elizabeth never lets any man touch her. And Matthew, he nearly picked her up in his arms. Too sweet. I'm gonna cry. The entire internet was blaming me, because our marriage was arranged for business reasons. Both families had agreed not to make it public, but the collaboration between our families was extensive. That made some netizens mistakenly think I was just some obsessed fan of Elizabeth's, and they even dragged me onto the trending topics to curse me for a while. But all of that was quietly taken down by Elizabeth. I know what kind of person she is. That was her way of warning me. The director called me, sobbing like crazy, begging me to tell him where Elizabeth was. But to be honest, I had no idea either. Right after she announced she was quitting, she vanished. She wouldn't even answer my calls. Just then, my phone buzzed. Matthew had posted a new update. In the photo, he's sitting in a helicopter wearing sunglasses and a parachute pack, tightly holding someone's hand. That person, who has never liked extreme sports, was Elizabeth. She had a faint smile on her lips, And she wasn't looking at the camera, she was looking at Matthew. The caption read, "They say hearts grow closer in moments of danger, so in this moment, will the light I follow waver for me too?" I messaged the director. Matthew just posted, "Look at the photo, you should be able to figure out where he is." Huh? President Koo. I don't see anything. What? I froze. The director sent me a screenshot. Matthew's last update was from 3 days ago. I quickly asked a few mutual friends. Sure enough, I was the only one who could see the new post. Matthew had set it to visible to only me. There's no way Elizabeth didn't understand the implication of that photo, but she smiled and let him take it anyway. This was the two of them, taunting me. 2 years ago, I could have shut down Matthew's financial backing, but now he's earning on his own. I'd already converted my support from money to resources, none of which mattered anymore. My assistant asked cautiously, "President Koo, are you all right?" Of course. I let out a cold laugh. Losing money is normal in business. Being betrayed, also normal. If I couldn't handle that, I wouldn't be where I am today. The director was still crying to me over the phone, and I frowned. Enough. We're just getting started. This afternoon, I'll personally bring a new actor to your set. Chapter 3. Elizabeth only reluctantly came back after a week out having fun, but what she returned to wasn't a panicked film crew or a hysterical me. Instead, she saw a fully functioning set already back in production, and me, being attentively cared for by another girl. The director came over with a cheerful smile. "Thanks to President Koo for finding such a perfect actress in time, otherwise this project would have fallen apart in my hands." When the new female lead, Freya, lit a cigarette for me, Elizabeth stormed over and snatched it away. "Joel." I glanced up at her. Matthew was standing behind her. The moment he saw a new woman beside me, a flicker of delight crossed his face. "What's wrong?" I asked casually, signaling Freya to bring me another drink. A vein pulsed on Elizabeth's temple. "What's wrong? Don't you think you owe me an explanation?" "Explain what?" I looked genuinely confused. "You two walked off the set. Of course I had to find replacements. And you had to personally be here for that. Like you've got the time." As Elizabeth pointed at me in anger, Freya stepped back a couple of paces. I pulled her behind me protectively. "Don't scare her. She's new to the industry, still needs someone to guide her." "Hey." Elizabeth looked like she couldn't believe her ears. "You have to teach her, Joel. How do you think this looks to people?" I was starting to get annoyed. I supported her growing up. What's wrong with me guiding her now? Supported her? Elizabeth was briefly stunned. Seeing Freya timidly hiding behind me only made her angrier. "So now financial support comes with this level of pampering. You seriously can't see what she's after?" "President Koo." I didn't. Freya hurried to explain. I smiled at her and gave a nod, then turned to Elizabeth with a frown. "I supported her, and she treats me well. Isn't that normal? Or should she be like that man behind you? Took my support, got promoted by me into a major production, and now has the nerve to post photos while holding my woman." Both Elizabeth and Matthew froze. Elizabeth gave Matthew a complicated look. "You supported him?" Freya spoke up. "President Koo has supported many people, not just me and him." "Shut up," Elizabeth snapped. Glaring fiercely at her, I pulled Freya behind me again. I said, "Don't bully my people." Elizabeth was never the type to start drama in public. Even though she was at her breaking point, she still kept her temper in check and left with Matthew without another word. That night, when I got home, the first thing I saw was Elizabeth, her eyes slightly red. I frowned. "What's wrong with your eyes?" "Joel." Her voice was hoarse. "I was wrong. Let's make up." Chapter 4. I hadn't expected Elizabeth to change this much. "Why are you saying all this all of a sudden? When I saw you with Freya today, I just felt awful inside. But there's nothing going on between us. I know, and I believe you." She took out her phone and handed it to me. But even that was enough to drive me mad. "I think this must be how you felt when it was me and Matthew. I'm sorry, I was too much before." She unlocked her phone. It was her chat history with Matthew. Matthew was still bombarding her with messages. "Sis Eliza, why are you suddenly cutting me off? Didn't we have such a great time together outside? Please answer me. Sis Eliza, did President Koo say something to you? I really just see you as my idol. I swear. Sis Eliza, you have to believe me. I've been your fan for 8 years. You're like a beam of light to me. I'd never try to ruin your marriage. Please talk to me." Messages kept popping up non-stop. Elizabeth took the phone back and blocked him right there. Finally, the phone went quiet. "I'm sorry." She cautiously leaned toward me. Seeing that I didn't push her away, she gently hugged me. "I just wanted to piss you off. But when I found myself in the same situation, watching you get close to another woman, I finally realized how much I must have hurt you, Joel." She looked up and gave me a soft kiss on the lips. "Let's not fight anymore. Okay. Okay. This marriage was always tied to our mutual interests. I wouldn't end it so lightly. Besides, I did have genuine feelings for Elizabeth. This whole incident came down to her being confused. Ultimately, it wasn't a big deal. I'd only meant to teach her a lesson anyway. A small punishment to serve as a warning, now that the point was made. There was no need to make things ugly. But the next day, something major happened on set. Matthew returned to the set and blocked my path. His eyes were red. He looked like he'd cried all night. I know it was you. Why can't you just believe I was only a fan? In your eyes, is everyone who gets close to her up to something? Then, he suddenly pulled out a knife. Freya let out a scream and tried to throw herself at me to shield me, but Matthew turned and stabbed his own wrist instead. Blood poured onto the ground. Everyone was in shock. He held up his bleeding wrist, staring at me with a face full of grievance and desperate sincerity. Is this enough to prove my innocence to President Koo? Call an ambulance. Don't let him die on set. I turned and gave the order, only to find Elizabeth had somehow arrived and was standing there, watching. Sis Eliza. Matthew's eyes lit up. I frowned and looked at Elizabeth. She gave Matthew a cold glance. It was my own decision. Don't bother him again. Matthew looked completely stunned. Elizabeth calmly stepped between me and Freya, took my hand, and led me away, without even glancing back at him. Chapter 5. Overnight, Matthew became a laughingstock. He'd planned to make a scene on set and embarrass me, but instead, Elizabeth publicly turned her back on him. After returning, Elizabeth made our marriage public, and Matthew was instantly mocked across the entire internet. He had only risen to the spotlight because of my support. Now that he'd lost my protection, even web dramas couldn't be bothered to invite him. But what did that have to do with me? He brought it on himself. He deserved whatever came next. If he'd been even half as well behaved as Freya, I would never have given up on him. And yet, lately, Elizabeth had been frowning at her phone all the time. She had already cut off contact with Matthew. One time when she wasn't paying attention, I curiously glanced at her screen. It was a mutual friend of hers and Matthew's. That friend had sent over photos, along with screenshots of Matthew's WeChat posts. In each photo, Matthew was dressed in rags, doing menial jobs in low-budget productions. He bit his lip and held back tears while getting yelled at. After filming Wrapped, he knelt on the floor scrubbing tiles. When a star actor got moody, they slapped him across the face. One of the screenshots showed a WeChat post. It's okay. The light I follow taught me never to give up. Keep moving forward and you'll find hope. The last message in the chat was sent by Elizabeth. Don't send me things like this again. I gave a small smile. Looks like my strategy worked perfectly. As a reward, the next day I visited Elizabeth's set and personally cooked her favorite pork rib soup. But the moment I arrived, Elizabeth came up to me with red eyes. Why did you do this? Do what? Don't think I don't know. She swatted the lunchbox out of my hands, causing me to stumble backward. The scalding hot soup splashed onto my hand and chest, instantly turning a large patch bright red. President Koo. My assistant rushed forward in alarm. MS. Elizabeth. President Koo is injured. It's just a little burn, nothing compared to what Matthew went through. As she said that, she dragged a disheveled young man over. Chapter 6. I hadn't expected Matthew to be working as a background actor on Elizabeth's set. This project was being shot in secret. Outsiders weren't supposed to know anything. Only then did I piece it together. Just half an hour before I arrived, Elizabeth had encountered Matthew, who was working as a stunt double. He was being thrown down from the rooftop again and again, every time the director saying it wasn't good enough. So he just kept throwing himself down, harder and harder, off that roof. At first, Elizabeth hadn't planned to intervene, but when she saw Matthew, covered in bruises, gritting his teeth and pushing through, her heart suddenly ached. She remembered her own early days, working as an extra, the countless times she threw herself to the ground until her bones felt shattered, only to still get screamed at by the director. That chapter of her life was one she never wanted to revisit. So she stepped in front of Matthew and demanded to know whose idea this was. The director was so terrified, he didn't even dare to breathe. Elizabeth sneered and pointed at my name on the list of investors. You don't need to say it. I already know. Joel Koo. Do small-time actors deserve to die? Now, Elizabeth stood tall before me, shielding Matthew firmly behind her. I've already given you all the love and respect I could. Why must you keep pushing him to the edge? My assistant panicked. MS. Elizabeth. Our President Koo never. Save it. I stopped the assistant, stood up while enduring the pain, and stared coldly at her. If you think it's me, then fine. Let it be me. Matthew's eyes lit up. He quickly turned to look at Elizabeth. Her brow twitched slightly. With a snort, she grabbed Matthew's arm and walked off without another word. My assistant was frantic. President Koo, you didn't even do anything. Why won't you explain? Explain. I let out a cold laugh. She's not worth it. It wasn't Matthew's fault that the director had targeted him due to personal bias, but the fact that Elizabeth didn't even bother to ask me a single question, and assumed it was me just because my name was on the investor list, that meant she never really respected me to begin with. Explaining things only makes certain people think you're begging for forgiveness, And I don't beg people like that. Chapter 7. That very day, I was dragged onto the trending topics and cursed out by the whole internet. A mysterious user uploaded a video compilation of Matthew's stunt double scenes, along with the footage of Elizabeth publicly confronting me on set. Instantly, netizens were outraged. Who the hell does he think he is? Are stunt actors' lives worth nothing? As a stunt double myself, this really hurts. He'd already done it well by the third take, but the director made him fall 10 more times. It had to be Joel's doing. I'm crying. His hands were shaking the whole time. How is this different from murder? Though the original poster couldn't be traced, I knew this wouldn't have gone up without Elizabeth's tacit approval. To go against me so openly and post something like this, only my own wife would have the nerve to back it. When Elizabeth got home, I was sitting on the sofa in silence. After about half an hour, she couldn't hold back anymore. Don't you have anything to say to me? I do. Her expression softened slightly. I slid the divorce papers across the coffee table toward her. Sign it. We'll split our joint assets 50-50. The marriage is over, but this won't affect the business partnership between our families. You want a divorce? I nodded. Why? She came over. Don't tell me it's just because of this petty thing. Yes, just because of this petty thing. Chapter 8. That day, Elizabeth stormed out, slamming the door behind her. She said I was becoming increasingly unreasonable. She didn't come home after that, nor did she contact me. When I messaged her, I found that I'd already been blocked. I didn't pester her. I just put the matter on hold for now. A week later, the door finally knocked. I thought she'd come to her senses and return to sign the papers, but when I opened the door, it was Matthew standing there. President Koo. Sis Eliza asked me to come pick up her clothes and toiletries. I raised an eyebrow. She's been staying at a hotel lately. I'm with her. Oh, but don't get the wrong idea. We're totally clean. Haha. It's just that she's out of clean clothes. So she sent me to grab her stuff. If Elizabeth needed a change of clothes and toiletries, she could have just used a delivery service. There was no need to come all the way home, let alone send Matthew. I understood. It was a silent declaration of defiance. Matthew's smugness was tinged with careful observation. Watching for my reaction, I stepped aside. End of the hall. Turn left. And when you get back, tell her she'd better come home and sign the papers soon. Matthew's eyes lit up. Oh, right. She blocked you already. Here. Add my private account. If you want to tell her anything, just pass it through me. So now, as her legal husband, if I wanted to contact my own wife, I'd have to go through another man. If I added him on WeChat today, I'd be lowering myself without even realizing it. Matthew had been in the industry for a while. He knew exactly what he was doing. So I took his phone and slammed it hard against the wall. Chapter 9. The phone shattered into pieces. Matthew yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" I tossed him a wristwatch. It's worth enough to buy you several of those phones. Take the money and the clothes, and get out of here within 1 minute. He clenched his jaw, but didn't dare confront me directly. He quickly grabbed the clothes and toiletries, shot me a venomous glare, and left in a hurry. I don't know what Matthew said to her when he got back, but Elizabeth never contacted me again. She didn't even send Matthew back to pick up her things. A month later, she finally came home. She opened the door, only to find the house completely empty. She removed me from her block list and made a call. Where are you? 57 West Street. Why? Elizabeth's grip tightened on the phone. Where? West Street, number 57. You're living with Freya. I pulled the phone slightly away from my ear. Don't yell like that, you'll scare the baby. Baby? What baby? Only then did I remember she didn't know. Oh, I forgot to mention, Freya's pregnant. Chapter 10. It didn't take Elizabeth long to arrive at the hospital. The moment she saw me, she snatched the prenatal test report from my hand. When her eyes landed on the conclusion, over 1 month pregnant, every last trace of hope drained from her expression. Joel, is the baby mine? In an instant, her eyes were engulfed by fury. Before I could react, she slapped Freya hard across the face. Stop. I stepped in front of Freya. How many times have I told you not to bully the people I care about? Elizabeth, eyes red, pointed at the person behind me. How could you really betray me? How could you do this? I looked at her. First of all, I brought up divorce a long time ago. You're the one who refused to sign. Second, what do you mean by betrayal? You've been living in a hotel with Matthew. Don't tell me that's all pure and innocent. I wasn't even in the same room as him. Elizabeth nearly screamed. Usually calm and reserved, even on camera, she barely spoke, but now, she was a completely different person, trembling with rage from head to toe. So what? My indifference stood in stark contrast to her fury. Elizabeth's breath became unsteady. I was just putting on an act with him. But you truly crossed the line and betrayed our marriage. I did. Elizabeth froze. What did you just say? I smiled. Did you think I'd try to justify it? I'm not you, Elizabeth. Not long after you left, I moved in with Freya. No separate rooms. Yes, I slept with her. Elizabeth stared in disbelief. How can you say these things so shamelessly? I curved my lips slightly, because cheating is cheating. Even if we were in separate rooms, it wouldn't make me clean. I'm not the type to make excuses while crossing the line. If I did it, I own it. And besides, I already gave you the divorce papers. That wasn't a request, it was a notification. Chapter 11. That day, the three of us parted on bad terms. I ignored Elizabeth, who had stormed off in fury, and stayed with Freya as she completed the full prenatal checkup process. When we left the hospital and were about to head home, a man blocked our way. President Koo, how can you be so shameless? Matthew stood in front of me, full of righteous indignation. I thought I'd misheard him, almost laughed. What did you just call me? Shameless. Matthew raised his voice. You two aren't even divorced yet. How could you do something so disgraceful? You. Freya stepped forward, ready to say something, but I stopped her with a hand. This kind of thing, I always handle myself. No one needs to fight my battles. So you do know Elizabeth and I aren't divorced. I stepped closer to him, one step at a time. Then why were you posting pictures with her, going skydiving together? I was just. Matthew tried to defend himself, but I cut him off. You knew she had a husband, yet you still stayed with her in the same hotel. You even had the audacity to go to her house and flaunt in front of me, her legal husband, saying if I needed to talk to her, I should go through you. Is that right? That shut him up, but he quickly regained his anger. I'm not like you. I've been her fan for 8 years. What I feel for her is faith, pure admiration. Even if we stayed in the same hotel, we had separate rooms, unlike you, living with a woman and even getting her pregnant. Smack. My fist landed squarely on his face before he saw it coming. He cried out and stumbled back, slamming into my car's hood. I sneered. Faith, admiration. Don't dress up your lack of boundaries as some noble devotion. If you truly saw her as your guiding light, then why didn't you respect her decision to cut you off? Those pitiful stuntman photos you put out online, sure, they'll fool some naive fans, but you really think you can fool me? You're not innocent. Elizabeth just hasn't given you a chance yet, but the moment she does, who knows what kind of admirer you'll turn into. I patted his face mockingly. Little boy who got to the top by riding my coattails. And even now, you still have zero self-awareness. Huh? With that, I grabbed him and shoved him aside. He hit the ground hard. I got in the car and sped off, leaving him in the dust without so much as a backward glance. Not long after I pulled away, my phone rang. It was my parents, and their tone was far from pleasant. Come home, we need to talk. Chapter 12. When I got home, it wasn't just my parents sitting on the couch, Elizabeth was there too. You really got involved with that girl you were sponsoring. My mother frowned as she looked at me. I sat down calmly and replied, yes, I'm with Freya now. You. None of the three expected me to be so blunt. My father let out a heavy sigh. You. Do you even know if the baby is yours? I sipped my tea leisurely. As long as it is, that's enough for me. Joel Koo. That was the final straw. My parents lost their composure. What you're doing to Elizabeth is way too unfair. That's why I didn't cut off our family's business cooperation, I said, glancing at Elizabeth. Did you not tell my parents what you did? My parents froze, then turned to Elizabeth. Do you want to tell them, or should I asked. Elizabeth gritted her teeth. I'll tell them. Chapter 13. Elizabeth's recounting was fairly objective and complete. I nodded to show I agreed with her version. My parents fell into thoughtful silence. After a long pause, they sighed. Even though Elizabeth made some mistakes too, at the end of the day, it was just some petty drama. We trust her character. She was only trying to get back at you. She definitely didn't do anything to betray you. That's right, Elizabeth echoed, then looked at me. I know. I believe her too. Then why do you still want a divorce? Simple. I straightened my back because I feel bad about it. Elizabeth frowned. Just because of that? I nodded. My parents understood my personality. After a moment of silence, they sighed again and turned to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, let it go. Moving forward, our Koo family will give your side a bit more support in the business. All right. Elizabeth looked at me, speechless, feeling exhausted. I said my goodbyes and turned to leave, but Elizabeth chased after me. You still don't believe me, do you? She blocked my path. What do I have to do for you to believe I really never touched him? I already told you, I believe you. I spoke lightly. No, you don't, Elizabeth said firmly. Otherwise, how could you divorce me over something so trivial? Trivial? I looked up at her. Elizabeth, to you, so long as you didn't actually sleep with another man, all the hurt you caused your partner just doesn't count. She froze. Chapter 14. I let out a cold laugh. Elizabeth, you don't get to keep score like this. I saw you getting cozy with another man, on my birthday. No less, and we ended up arguing because of him. I was hurt. Really hurt. To me, that's not some minor issue. It's not just about whether you slept with Matthew. The way you provoked me for his sake, that alone was already a betrayal. And someone who knew full well what they were doing, how do you have the audacity to call that a small thing? Elizabeth didn't know what to say. I took a deep breath. In business, I can take any humiliation, because that's the nature of the game. We're chasing profit. But relationships are different. I can't accept a lifelong partner who brushes aside my pain, who challenges me when she knows what I care about. Don't worry, what we've lost is love, not mutual interest. Our shared benefits can still continue. As for the baby, if you're okay with it, I don't mind if he has 2 moms. With that, I opened the car door and sat down. Elizabeth tried to stop me, but I sidestepped her. Chapter 15. Not long after, I went on a trip with Freya. Mutual friends started spamming me like crazy. Where the hell did you go? Elizabeth's losing it. Are you seriously going to divorce her? Matthew's come looking for Elizabeth multiple times. She kicked him out every time. Last time she even threw a wine bottle at him. If you don't come back soon, who knows how far those two are going to push it. Joel, I heard everything that happened. Honestly, she was just acting out to get your attention. It's not a big deal. You don't have to divorce over this. Come back. I turned around and posted a tweet. What's spilled can't be gathered. A shattered mirror can't be made whole. If you keep bothering my friends to message me, I'll see you in court. I set the post to be visible to Elizabeth only. When I returned from the trip, Elizabeth was waiting at the airport. She looked noticeably thinner. When she saw me with Freya, her expression showed clear discomfort. But in the end, she forced her temper down and gave me a slightly pleading look. One last meal, just you and me. Chapter 16. At the same seaside restaurant where we first met, Elizabeth still hadn't given up. Matthew and I, it's completely over. He pulled a suicide stunt and ended up in the ICU. He's still lying in there, and I haven't gone to see him. She handed me her phone, hoping I'd verify her words. I simply pushed the phone back to her. Got it. Elizabeth's eyes reddened. I really know I was wrong, Joel. At first, I just saw him as a devoted fan. I was touched. That's all. That's why I agreed to take pictures with him. When he hugged me, I didn't expect it at all. I know it's too late to say this now, but I swear nothing like that will ever happen again. The child. I'll accept her. I'll raise her. I shook my head. She's my child. Whether or not she accepts you as her mother is her decision. So she can accept Freya. She's just some rookie in the industry. I looked at her, confused. It's the child's choice. So what if she doesn't want a mother at all? Elizabeth looked like all the strength had drained from her body. Joel. You're really this heartless? I smiled slightly and placed a piece of meat into her bowl. Elizabeth, I've told you, our interests can still align. The projects we're already working on, we'll finish them. It's mutually beneficial. She stared at me, her eyes growing even redder. Just as tears began to gather in her eyes, she pushed back her chair and stood up from the table. After that meal, she signed the divorce papers. From then on, whenever she took photos with male celebrities, she always kept a full fist's distance. When the baby was born, we both showed up at the hospital. I declined her red envelope gift, but allowed her to take a look at the child. As the child grew, she never found it strange that she had 2 moms. In fact, she happily embraced the love from both women. Traces of time began to show on Elizabeth's face. 4 years, she never remarried. She knew the child wasn't biologically hers, but still treated her as if she were. I once encouraged her to have a child of her own. She remained unmoved. Because of the child, she and I occasionally shared a cup of tea again. She once said, I haven't touched another man since. I smiled. That's good, but you should still think about your own future. Joel, you know I heard you won the Lifetime Achievement Award recently. Congrats. I cut her off. She opened her mouth to speak, but sadness flickered in her eyes. She'd tried to feel out my thoughts many times, and every time, I brushed her off. Later, she still kept trying to create chances to meet me. But love, once lost, doesn't always lead to reconciliation. Sometimes, it only leads to repeating the same mistakes. I don't do that kind of business. A new blueprint for the future is already unfolding before me. Elizabeth, she's just a single ink blot in the long scroll of my life.